Hello, everybody. David here. Hey, wanted to give my take on the K-1 visa that we went through with my beautiful Filipino wife. She did a video about it, and I want to give my take a little bit. Now, first, let me tell you, there's a lot of videos out there that will give you all the minute details about what you need to do. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you my impression and some thoughts I have on it that might help you down the road with your future spouse. First would be the K-1 visa actually is the easiest way to bring your fiance here. Tourist visas don't work. They cost a lot of money. There's a lot of issues from a banking standpoint that you got to prove that they have to prove in their own country that they're going back. If you get married in the Philippines, for instance, it's going to probably double the time to bring your wife here versus if you would just do the K-1 visa. Now, we learned a lot going through the K-1 visa process. And a couple things we learned was documentation. If it's not documented, remember, it didn't happen. So it's going to be crucial to you to document everything. And I mean everything. And we did that. Our packet that we submitted for her K-1 visa was approximately about 2.5 inches thick. Almost the size of a ream of paper. But we submitted everything from financial documents to every text message that we ever had from start to finish, to when I traveled to the Philippines, everything, receipts, airline tickets, food, pictures. We had, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of photos of us in the Philippines with her family and other people in restaurants and things. Very important to have way more documentation that your relationship is legitimate than you could ever imagine. So very, very important. The other thing we learned was we hired an immigration attorney to help us with this. And that didn't work out too well. I wasted $1,000 on her. And we wind up doing the work, and then it just fell apart because she was always sick or had a family issue and couldn't help us with our process. Luckily, we found a website called Rapid Visa. Now, I actually just am very happy with Rapid Visa. What they do is they handle everything. They have offices not only in the United States, but in the Philippines, I think in Thailand, in Korea. So they have boots on the ground in those different countries that your future spouse may be from. I think that's very important. They also have everything down to a science. You contact them, you basically set up an account. They will send you a checklist of everything you need. And then what you do is you follow their instructions, you fill out their electronic forms, you submit all these documents to them, they arrange it, look through your forms, they correct and fill out everything correctly to make sure that you're not missing anything or there's anything that they feel like you should need more, including your affidavit of support and all that good stuff. And then they get it all together, and then what they do, which I really like, is they send it back to you for one final review. And then when we agree, they agree, Rapid Visa and I agree that everything looks good, then the process is submitted. Now keep in mind, in this K-1 visa process, Lorelei, my beautiful Filipino wife, she had a lot of things that she actually had to do in the Philippines also. So I had a lot of work to do here, but she had work to do there. She had to get, a police clearance, basically like an FBI clearance, showing that she had no pending criminal charges and all that mess. She also had to do a medical clearance and, of course, the visa interview, which is very important. You got to have a birth certificate, all those things. So there are a lot of little documents that you have to get to before you can submit the process. But if you follow the instructions and the guidelines by Rapid Visa, then it's all good. It works pretty well. The process took us about 6 months. But like I said, we bent over backwards to make sure that we had numerous documents of everything you could ever imagine. So there was no question about whether or not our relationship was really legitimate or not. So, and that I actually did see her in the Philippines. We spent time there, all of that. So those are some things that are very, very important. Cost-wise, back 5-6 years ago, I think I gave, like I said, I gave $1,000 to the attorney to help us, which was lost. But Rapid Visa, I think, charged us $495 for their work. And then, of course, you have your government fees of another, I don't know, $600 or so. You figure all that out that you have to pay to the United States government and immigration services. So, and they're paid separately. You got to give a check to the government. Rapid Visa can't pay. You don't pay them all of it, and Rapid Visa pays. No. You got to send with your application a check to the government. So, and you can't charge it. You can't put it on a credit card or anything. You got to give them a check. So, or I guess a money order would probably work. So that's the K-1 visa. After, it gets submitted, it's about 6 months for us. And then once we got notification that's been approved, then Lorelei was able to get her appointment for her medical, get her appointment for her visa interview, where they basically, she said, would ask her questions about me. Do you know his name? Do you know where he lives? Who is he? And she said some of the interesting things was during the interview process, she could tell that some of the young women maybe didn't know all the answers, and that was a problem, very much so. The other thing she thought was interesting from learning from her side of things was the Filipino government is going to tell your future bride everything they have found out about you. So if you've committed a crime in the past and been divorced or have kids and you didn't bother to tell her, well, she's going to find out. No question about it. And it's the same way on my end. If there would have been any deep, dark secrets, I would have found out through this process. So my suggestion for both of us, both sides, is when you first start chit-chatting and all that good mess, full disclosure is the best policy. I will tell you, not that you gotta be wealthy to do this, but it doesn't hurt if you have a decent income. If you're barely making it in life, if you're living in a one-bedroom studio apartment and you can barely feed yourself, you're not going to get approved for the visa. The government requires, affidavit of support. They're going to look at your tax records. So if you can barely support yourself, their theory is, how are you going to support a wife who you got to feed and take care of? So keep that in mind. And if you're from our side of things, from the guy's side of things, look, if you're truly not dedicated and interested in going to the Philippines or Thailand or wherever you're into or whatever you're into, don't waste their time. Don't get their hopes up. It's heartbreaking for them. Because all women, they want to be loved and appreciated and taken care of. So, and we all like the chase of things, but don't waste their time. And I know my wife, Lorelei, tells, Filipinos the same thing. if they're not serious about the guy, then don't waste each other's time. It's kind of cruel and wrong. So I encourage you not to do that. Now, once your fiance gets approved and everything's done, I think Lorelai was able to leave the Philippines within about 3 days, which made her airline ticket expensive. So that's another reason you got to have some money, because last minute airline tickets, I think ours back then was, I don't know, $2,000, when they're averagely run about $1,300 usually. So keep that in mind. But once she comes here, you got the 90 days, just like the TV show says. You have 90 days to get married. And then once you do get married, you have to go and file for your adjustment of status with the government. I also used Rapid Visa for that. It was a smaller fee, wasn't as big a deal, because a lot of the paperwork you already have completed. And then and you have to submit your wedding license and all that, or marriage license, I guess is what it's called. So you got to submit that stuff to prove that you got married. And then that allows her to become a green card holder, a 3-year green card holder. So that's good. Once you get married, she's eligible for a Social Security card. Now, she still can't work if that's part of the plan until she gets a green card. But at least you can have a Social Security card. And then once she does get the green card, which took us about another 6 months. It took us about another 6 months to get that after we got married. Then, life is good. She can go to work if you want her to and everything like that. And so it works out pretty well. Then after 3 years, you basically got to do another adjustment of status, which gives her a permanent residency card. And that's good for about 10 years. We went ahead and had Lorelai become a citizen, but I'll probably talk a little bit more about that in a different video. So for now, that's kind of my ramblings on my point of view from the K-1 visa. It's not horrible, it's not difficult, but there's a lot of documentation, a lot of paperwork, and you have to on both countries, the U.S. and wherever she's coming from, work on these documents together. One of the things that I did was I actually sent Lorelai my package of information. So my side of things that went to Rapid Visa, I made sure she had a copy of everything in the Philippines, and vice versa. So everything she had in the Philippines, I had a copy of. That way, there was no surprises. If the government asked or Rapid Visa asked, I could look and go, oh, it's this or that. While she was in the Philippines, if she needed to look up something that I submitted, like the affidavit of support, needed something off of it, or needed my city of birth, whatever, she had everything. It made it much easier for both of us. And I really believe, that's why the process went so smoothly and so quickly. 6 months is pretty quick, and it worked well. And I'm a big fan of using agencies like Rapid Visa versus just a regular old standalone attorney. So those are just my thoughts. If you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to comment. Details, you can look those up. They're on the internet. They're easy to find. If you want to know exactly how much Rapid Visa cost and, the cheat sheets and all of that good stuff to help you. So, all right. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.